Oh, hi, hello everybody. So here in today's project, we will create actually a Gravatar service. It will be really useful for you because actually Gravatar, what does it do? It actually it takes, if you create an account on Gravatar, gravatar.org, you with your email address, you will be able to associate just with one email address an avatar, so a profile photo, and everywhere you go, everywhere you register, you sign up on a website, on an application, and so on, your profile photo will be displayed if they use Gravatar as well. And a lot of services use Gravatar. So this is why it's so powerful, because so many applications and websites use Gravatar. If there's no other avatar set on your profile account, they will use Gravatar as a default profile photo. And if you have an account on Gravatar and the email is associated to there, you will be able to generate a Gravatar. And here we create just a PHP package to display your avatar. So thanks to that project, you will be able to use it elsewhere, and you will get the URL of the avatar according to the email address you receive from a user, or is it from you? I don't know, but you will see it will be really handy. Let's directly dig into it, and after anyway you will have more use cases on how you can use Gravatar. But first, let's create a simple service. So here my service name will be, well, I will actually php Gravatar. php, don't worry about it, it's just a unique name I like to give to my project, because my username is ph7, because my name is Henry, so I like to play with ph, my initial of my first name, and so it's like ph7, ph2, or whatsoever. So ph2 Gravatar, create, and here we will actually create the main project for us. So first we'll create actually two folders. One, it will be source, so src is the abbreviation for source, and the other one, it will be test. So test, usually it's a standard. It's most of the devs use test in plural. Now it can be singular, but it's just a convention. A lot of people use test, and so it's nice to be consistent. And our project, I mean, most packages you will install in your project will have this kind of architecture: src folder and test folder. And then what else can we already create? We create actually already a class. I will maybe first initiate Composer. So I will do Composer init, and here the name, that's just a suggestion for the package name. In my case, my vendor name is usually ph7, so I will change it. And for the package, it will be php. But you can change it, it's up to you. That's just my package name. And what do we have here? Only lowercase. Okay, sure. So actually, yeah, they don't allow us to have uppercase at all. So let's do it that way. Description: simple and elegant way to create to generate avatars from to generate Gravatars, actually, because we just use the service actually, which is Gravatar. Okay, my name, yeah, that's fine. Minimum stability, it's okay too. Package type, it will be a library, because actually it's a library, because this package, the kind of the type of package is a library, since it will be installed in different main projects. So most of the packages like that one I don't know, any small libraries that actually are used inside of bigger projects are libraries most of the time. So for the license, I will do MIT, the most common one. It's a good one. It's the open source without restrictions license, except that the person has to leave the copyright. But otherwise, the person using your library, it can be in a commercial or personal project. Would you like to define your dependencies? Actually, not for now, because I'm not sure I will need any dependencies. I will use Php Unit here, but right now I will say no because I don't have internet right now, because actually I'm in a park and at the moment I don't share my data with my phone. I don't hotspot my phone, so it will take a little bit of time to set up my Wi-Fi. So we say no for now. And this one, yes, that's for the namespace actually. Okay, so now if you check here, you will see, oops, that's something else. It's not from our project. So that's our main composer.json package. What we can do here, however, is I will do that way. I will change just the main namespace for src because I prefer this kind of caps, for the namespace. And require, actually I will use a require, but it will be just for PHP. So we'll mention PHP, and here we say I'm not sure of the syntax, but it should be something like this for PHP 7.1 minimum. I will have a look later on and I will confirm with you. And actually I don't install PHP Unit yet, but I will already mention it. So it will be required dev, and here it will be PHP Unit, and the version normally should be 9.5, like this. But I will double check if this is correct, because I'm not 100% sure. Yes, and yeah, you can even have a homepage of your project, or for the author, like in my case I can even mention home page, and that will be my URL. So for instance, for me it will be j7.me, but for you it might be different, you see. And yeah, this is your project, the main project actually, because now we have to add the interesting things. So the main class, which will be how will call it, Gravatar image generator. I'm not too sure. I will see if in my phone I have some ideas, because in my phone I have internet, but I think Gravatar will be fine actually. But yeah, we can leave it as Gravatar actually. And that's the extension. Okay, namespace, it should be the default one. Oh wait, oh yeah, no. So we need the namespace actually, and it will be actually the namespace, the main namespace will be this. And here it will be the Gravatar main class. I'm not 100% sure. I think actually I will change the architecture. I will have a Gravatar folder, and inside of it will be image, maybe. I think that sounds even better. But that's not big deal actually. It's just the way you organize your project, and these are personal preferences. And so here it will be Gravatar again. Yeah, that's not the best. Oh, I just received something. I think there's a bird up to me. I mean, I don't know. There's a bird apparently. Hello. Yeah. Anyway, let's continue. Let's not get distracted by birds and squirrels, or I don't know, any wild animals in Australia. So here we will have our folder. Gravatar. It will be the same actually, the same kind of architecture, you see, and then inside of it will be image, and again the namespace. We don't want this. I will add the namespace after, I think, at least for me to be easier, I think. So here the difference we'll have here tests, because it's in the test, and image test it will be because we'll test our dependencies. I mean, no, we won't test our dependency, but we'll test the package, which will be the image class. We'll make sure that it works as expected. So test case it will be, but I didn't install PHP Unit yet. And yes, this looks good for now. Perfect. So now I have internet, so I will install PHP Unit first. I will type here on packages.org PHP Unit, and I will just copy this one in my terminal. So in my case, oops, it's here. I paste it, and I just have a small issue. I believe it's a small issue because actually I added it in here. So actually what I will do just Composer install, and so it will install the PHP the package. There's just maybe apparently an issue with the version, perhaps. Let's have a look. I will see on one of my projects, so it will be easier to know what's not working. Let's see. For instance, that one I have PHP Unit there. So I'll just do Composer and my version here. Oh yes, I forgot the vendor prefix. That was the problem. So it has to look that way. And for the PHP version that I mentioned that I wanted to check, I will maybe do that way with a 0. But otherwise that one was correct. So now I do Composer install and it works. So we are just installing PHP Unit. In the meantime, I will show you Gravatar, the service of Gravatar, gravatar.com actually. So that's Gravatar. I will close this one. Let's see. Okay, now it's installed. Beautiful. So now I can just start the library together. Let's do it. So I think the best would be to create a static function. So we do public function static, and the name would be get. And actually here the class name is image. So get, and we'll have different parameters. I just have public function. Oh, the static goes before. That's why I had syntax error. And I will also store them in a private constant. So private constant is available since PHP 7.1, I think. Let's have a look. Private constant PHP 7.1, but I think so. And private constant is nice. It's like private attributes. If you know class constants visibility modifiers as of PHP 7.1, so yes. And private const, it will be Gravatar URL. Oops. Usually constant, it's a convention. We declare our constant names as uppercase. So Gravatar and URL. So the Gravatar URL will be Gravatar URL. Let's have a look here. It will be gravatar.com API. Let's have a look on the documentation. Gravatar profile, response format. Yeah, let's have a look here. So you see that's actually the URL. So we do actually something a little bit similar, but not exactly like that, and cleaner as well. So the URL will be this. Actually, I will just exclude. It will be just the domain for now, because I will allow. No, it will be only HTTPS. It doesn't make sense nowadays to have HTTP only, because before with Gravatar, you can request an image HTTP or HTTPS, but now it doesn't really make sense. We don't always use an HTTPS. So yeah, we are using HTTPS. Before, I think they had that secure.gravatar.com, so they had something like that. I think .gravatar.com. But nowadays, especially for images and resources, it's really recommended to have it with HTTPS. Just to see for the record, was it S? How can I remove SSL mixed? It's probably not from there, but they had an option in the past. Gravatar, only if you are interested to it. A Gravatar SSL URL, not HTTPS. Let's have a look. So maybe in that, oh yeah, that's Docker or something. But they probably, yeah, I don't know what's Node. It's not PHP, but let's have a look to, oh, facilities. Let's have a look. Maybe they show how to use it. In the past, I was using actually I think now Gravatar don't show anymore how to use HTTP or HTTPS. But in the past, I did actually in my P7 CMS. It was here, and it was just HTTP. If it was false, yeah, just secure instead of www. So it used to be secure.gravatar.com, and otherwise just www. But now, as you can see, even www is also with HTTPS. So this doesn't really make sense anymore. Secure. Gravatar is something. Yes, it does close space. Okay. Yeah. Anyways, that's other articles. Perfect. So, oh, actually here, you don't need to do anything special to load Gravatar on secure page. Just make sure the Gravatar URL starts with HTTPS. Yeah, so now they don't use the secure subdomain. But yeah, it makes sense. So for us, we will leave the URL like this. Actually, we won't remove like that, because we'll always load our Gravatar under HTTPS. So now we will use avatar prefix after the URL to call the avatar we need. So we do just avatar. Here we already have a slash. Actually, I will just leave it without slash. It will be, I think, better to understand and will prevent any other issues. We have here the email parameter. So we'll just mention the email here. The user will have to mention the email. It's a string actually. And here I will do MD5. And we need to actually encrypt the email with MD5. This is the way how Gravatar works. So because it's with MD5, it's not obvious what email we request. Otherwise, in the source code of any website, we would be able to see email addresses of anyone who has a Gravatar on any web applications, and that's actually an email is sensitive information, so that's why Gravatar service use MD5. So actually MD5, let's have a look here. I will show you MD5. It will be simpler. So it's an encryption algorithm. So you see, it allows you actually to encrypt a string. MD5 is not the most secure one. It's quite old, and you can actually there are actually some security issues, because now there are a lot of libraries and a lot of data where we can actually easily guess. I mean, a lot of programs can guess what's the email behind the encryption. However, that's bad for passwords, but for email, it's fine. It's okay for emails. MD5 has the benefits to be fast, and it's just 32 character long, I think. MD5 normally it's 32, and HHA1 is it's 40. So yeah, 32 characters. So we'll use MD5 because anyway Gravatar is the only, I mean, it only offers MD5. It's just the way how it works. So Gravatar MD5, you just have a look here, you will see hash decrypt. But yeah, you have some articles, but this is just the way it works. So now we'll use the email, and then we will have the size, the rating. So if you look here in Gravatar, I don't know if they display the different options with the hash, image request. We won't use the profile request for our library. Profile request, almost no one uses it. It's not really important. So you see, you have the size actually, rating, that will be for later on. So first, let's do the size. So we will use it will be an integer, and size. And for the size, as you can see, so that's the MD5. I don't know if they even, no, they don't mention it here. And then the size, so you see you will have S200. So we can actually do this equals the size. So it will be equals size, $size. But for us, we'll use a function that PHP offers. Is HTTP query builder. We will use that one. It's a really good one, because actually, to me, it's a bit cleaner to build URLs. You see that way, and it will return this actually. So let's use it. We will actually, you see, if you have a look, it will be only for the parameters, so we don't need to mention it. That's the domain, that's the avatar, so we leave it like this, and then we do like params equals, and actually this will still be here, so it will be only from here that we'll use it, and we'll first have the email, beautiful, and finally now we are doing we'll have an array, and as you can see, you can just mention all the different parameters for the URL. So for me to be S for the size, it will be R, and it will be like this actually, because it's an array. In my case, I use the short syntax array. On this example, I use the long syntax, but nowadays it's quite nice to use the short syntax arrays, which is actually the square brackets and not like this, you see. So let's go back to Gravatar, rating. So you see we just need to use R or rating actually for the parameter. So for us, we'll mention string rating. It's a bit windy right now, so I hope you still hear me well. Rating, perfect. And actually by default we use that one, suitable for display on all websites. That will be the default parameter. For the size, by default we will it will be let's create a constant, but it will be 200 by default, 200 pixel square. So that will be the one by default. Gravatar size. Oh, I can actually Gravatar size. Gravatar size. Actually, here I wanted to show you that I can actually do this static. So when the class is used somewhere else, I can actually it's the lead static bindings. So actually, if we use the class, if we call the class elsewhere and we extend the class, you can actually call the constant of the child class, and it won't be always the parent class. So I don't know if they have an example. Static, this is the lead static bindings, and you see here it's for a function, a method. It's not a constant, but it's the same actually. And test goes with the static. So here we are in the child class that extends from A, and they do actually equal class, and it will be actually B, because static will be for the B class. If it was self, it would have been a for the example, or like here, you see, which is self. But for us, we'll just use self actually. We don't need static in this case. Gravatar 200, perfect. I will also store private const rating. Actually, I will do this default rating and default size instead. So default size and default rating like this. So what else can we have? Let's have a look again. Rating, first default, in some reason we wanted to force the default image. No, we won't use that one. Or the default avatar, if there is no avatar, that can be good actually. So it can be like blank. Oh no, maybe not blank. Let's have a look here what they have actually. It will be interesting to know. So copy URL. So MP. So yeah, let's use display. The default will be MP maybe. So for us it will be string display equals private const default display, and the default value will be MP, like this. Perfect. So here I just use that. Save. Perfecto. And I will do display here. Exactly like that, as you can see. And now I can close the array. And now the oops, I think I have an error that I didn't see. Let's have a look for HTTP builder query in the signature. Query data, it's an array. Let's have a look in the documentation. It should be simpler. So HTTP builder query, and here we can see array. Yes, everything looks good. Yeah, sometimes you have an error, and you are not really sure what it is. We'll see after. So first here it should be URL, and then we return URL plus question mark, because it will be for the parameters, and we use the concatenation operator. So if you look on the PHP website, concatenation operator, and you will see it's this one. So that's why we use dot question mark params. Perfect. And actually here it's MD5 like this. And here actually I will just change the static way to call the constant to just self, because we don't need the late static bindings like what we saw here. We don't need in our case. It really depends what you need. I think self is still nicer, so we'll just change to self, and it will be consistent also with the parameters we have here, which is self as well, because normally a package can expect users to extend. It can be the case, but for Gravatar, I think we should then create, it's a really simple class anyway, it's a really simple function. So for now we will use self, but if you wish you can still use static, but I don't really see why they would want to change the Gravatar URL. There's no really a reason why. You could actually, but for now I will keep it as self, but if you want static, it's still fine too actually. So now actually I think I will change a little bit the function, the get function, because I just realized we have too many arguments here, and this is not really nice. Uncle Bob actually, King Code, he says that we shouldn't have more than 3 arguments. More than 3 arguments in our function is a maximum, otherwise it gets messy and it's not really readable. Imagine you call a function with 4, 5, 10 arguments. It's a lot. So that's why we want to limit to here to be 2, because it will be like this, and we'll have an array, and it will be options. That way it will be nicer. You will see how we call this. We create actually a new function. It will be a private function to be static as well, because we call it in a static function, and you have to call only static functions inside of a static function. So build build options. Yeah, let's do build options. And so here private static or function, obviously, and we'll just it will return actually a string. Perfect. And inside, in the body, we'll have we will call this. So we do that way. Here it will be an array, because it will be actually the array from here. It will be options. So that function build options will be only called in the get Gravatar. So here we have s. So the function, we will actually check if it's empty. So if empty, then obviously we'll have the size. But if it's not empty, actually, we will call this one, the default size. And it will be the same for R, so for the rating. So again here, if it's empty, if rating is not empty, oh, here I need question mark. We give rating, otherwise it will be default rating. The same for the display. Oops. Yeah, I don't know why it doesn't go to the right line. Sometimes in the indentation it's a bit funny. So the same for here, actually we'll do empty, not empty. I know it's a bit repetitive. Maybe we might be able to use collecting operator as well. Let's see later on when we'll do refactoring, because we can always make our class nicer. Actually, there are so many ways to make it cleaner and better. The first version, you know, when we just code from our mind, it's not always the cleanest. And for the size as well, and that will be, oh, the size, we have it already. Display, oh yeah, we have everything now. Beautiful. And we can actually return this. So we'll do like this. Does it return always a string? Yes, apparently it does. So yes, we can even make it better as this params, and we'll just do params equals. That's even cleaner, I would say, but you know, this is a bit personal. Like some devs would prefer this way, some others don't. It's really up to you how you like writing the code, if you prefer that way, or if you prefer to have the array in the function inside of the argument of the function. But however, if you work with a team, so with other devs, it's nice to be consistent and to ask the other devs to use the same way. Because it's important that the same project you work with other devs is consistent. I mean, the way you code has to be consistent. So here we will just do this and build options. Oh yeah, it has to be static, that's why actually. So I will just call like this. I can actually do self. So yes, and it will be the options here. Beautiful. I can even create another function to build the URL. So it will be private, again, static as well, function, build URL, and it will build everything, you will see. So here it will be, well, we'll see what we'll have in the parameter. I'm not too sure for now, but it should be quite simple, and it will return build URL. I can actually have email maybe. I just URL. I'm just looking what's the best way to do it. How is the best way to do it? So the URL will be here. Then we'll have this. It's really nice to have that. And then params. So maybe we'll have here params as well. So it will be both for them. It will be a string type. And URL params. And so I will call just this build URL like this, and then yes, exactly like that. Obviously I need self, because as you can see here also it complains because we are in a static function. So self, and anyway build URL is static as well. We need this because everything is static. Actually as a class I can even set as final, because everything static. We don't really want people to extend our class in this case. So you can just set self to everything, because it won't be extend, so it doesn't make sense to have static for the Gravatar URL. And like what we already spoke before earlier about static and self and the static late bindings. So late static bindings, sorry. I just mix the both words. So yes, here URL self options, that looks good. So now we will test. Oh wait, yes, actually it has to be like this, and because to be the user to set the parameters, I mean the options. So it will go like this, and here to be waiting. Yes, and here to be the same for the display. Perfect. I think it's nicer size than S, rating than R, and display rather than D, because it's easier to understand. So the users will have to mention the full name, so size, rating, and display, instead of S, R, and D, because that's not really readable. I don't know what you think, but at least that's my opinion. Yes, beautiful. Here we will import the test case. So so we are in the test. We create a test to make sure that our library works well, and after obviously we can do some tests elsewhere. But I think it's nice first to do the unit test. Otherwise we might forget about it. So framework. It will be framework. I forgot now. Is it test case? Yeah, should be like this. Yeah, wonderful. So now, so we have, oh, we need actually image test. We'll add a suffix test, because PHP unit needs actually as a suffix test, so it knows where are the tests. So image test for the class, and here we'll do public function, and we start by test as well as a prefix. So test Gravatar with test Gravatar without options. Maybe we can still change the name after, and actually it doesn't return anything, void for us. And we can actually use the PHP directive, but I forgot street is this one, declare street types, and we'll have it here as well. So the street types we use are street. It won't be casted, but it will be street. So for here it's string actually, here as well. Yeah, that's it. So it's nice to have that. And here we just do this assert same. So assert same, the difference with assert equal. So you also have this assert equals, but the difference is that assert equals do just normal comparison, and the assert same does a street comparison, a street type comparison. It's actually the same name as the one if you use Java Unit. So yes, street is a much better it's a much better practice. Yeah, it's a really good practice to always use a street type comparison, because otherwise you might have issues if you compare, I don't know, null with I mean, if you compare 0, see 0 like oops like this with 0 like that. I mean, if it's like null, also null compared to string, it will be 3 actually. I mean, if it will be like this, it won't work. So we need street type comparison. So for us, because yeah, it's you can have a look on the internet actually, but you might have easily some bugs if you don't use street type comparison. So here we will use our class. So we just import it. First I do get. You see, normally I will be able to import my class. Beautiful, it's imported here. And get, I'll just use simple email. So actually I will use a const test email equals test at ph7.me, for instance. Oops. Okay, nice. And we can set as private actually. So the constant will be here. We will use self to call the function, and after the function we don't want any parameters, so we test it without parameters. So we are just using this. So in assert same we have expected and actual. So here it will be the actual one, and the expected will be on the first parameter. It's easy to make mistakes actually, because you know usually we call the actual one first, but it doesn't change much. But because the parameter by default with PHP Unit is first expected and then actual, it's nice to have actual second. And what we expect, we don't know. I don't know actually what's the ND5 for that email, so I will have to run my test first. So I actually created now a php unit.xml.dist. So it's a distribution XML PHP unit configuration file. You can just have php unit.xml, but this one I will commit it after. So it's always a nice idea to have php unit.xml.dist. The dist file is actually, it will be picked up by php unit when we will run php unit. However, the php unit.xml is the first one. The priority is the first, so it's the first one to be picked up. And then if php unit.xml is not found, it will search for php unit.xml.dist. But however, if you clone my repo and you want to have a custom php unit configuration file, you don't have to remove mine. You just create a php unit.xml, and so the mine, which is .dist, won't be picked up, because php unit.xml will be the first one to be picked up. So that's the reason why here I have php unit.xml.dist. And then I will actually I also created a Gitignore file where I mentioned php unit.xml, because if I have also a php unit.xml file, I don't want that one to be committed, but I want to have php unit.xml.dist to be committed, because that one is like the distribution file. And in our PHP unit configuration file, we just call actually bootstrap is the autoload of Composer. So we can also actually mention it here. We could have mentioned it here like autoload dash dev. We could have done that as well. And then here it will be the namespace of the tests. But however, for us, so it would have been like this, yes. But for us, at least for me, I think it's nice to keep it in php-unit.xml.this, but you can do either one, either the other way, it's fine. So now we will just run our unit test for the test we just created here. So we'll do PHP. I don't have PHP unit installed globally, so we'll just run the binary file in our vendor bin PHP unit in our vendor folder. So we do just like this, and yes, there's an error actually because this case not found. I think I made a mistake here. I think it's a namespace. It should be like this, PHP uppercase. So let's try again, and yes, now it works. Tissue parameters, forget. Oh yes, because options, it's actually not optional in my case here. So I will do, how I do it? I will actually do this empty array. And that should be fine, because here we check if the key, if each key of the array is defined or not with empty. Let's have a look again. So yes, now it works, but the URL, sorry, the URL actually it's supposed to be this one. Let's mention it here. Should be like this, and www Gravatar. So that's actually the MD5, and that's the default parameter we mentioned. So that's our first test, and this one should pass. Yes, it does. So at least now we have the MD5 email. So what we'll do here, we'll do private const test email hash, perhaps, and to be like this one. I mean, you can do this. I mean, it's up to you actually. We might just leave this for now. I will see how I will organize my test. I might leave this for now. So we create another test. Test. I will just copy paste. I'm a bit lazy. Test Gravatar without options, and uppercase email. That's nice to check uppercase email to know what happens if we mention uppercase email. Will it still be the same hash? Because otherwise the avatar might not be found, and that's a problem. So we'll check if, oh no, it won't be actually. So actually what I will do here, to have case sensitive, I will create another function. So I will just show it to you right now. I will do my test first, the same test actually, but the only difference is that the email will be uppercase. So here I will do $email equals this one, but we'll do str to upper. So it's like string to uppercase. You see, make a string uppercase, and we do uppercase email. Perfect. And you will see that one will fail because the MD5 hash won't be the same. So you just run again the test, and one test should fail. Test Gravatar. Why the other test wasn't executed? Test. It's just a little issue, I believe. If we remove that one, let's have a look. Okay. Or it's actually, you see, the function is private. My bad. You see now the test is failing. If your function is private, I don't know why I mentioned it as a private function. This is why it didn't work. So we want actually, even if someone mentioned an email with uppercase, we want to still find the image, and so we still want the same hash. So what we'll do is to have a new function here, perhaps private function get email, get email hash maybe. And yeah, I think that's the best name. And so we'll have a string as a parameter. It will return a string as well. And we will do this MD5, and here it will be a string to lowercase. So doesn't matter the caps, we will always change the email to lowercase, like this. Normally, when they register to a Gravatar, they mention the email as lowercase, so this should work. So we will just call this function, and it has to be static as well. Get email hash and email. Beautiful. So now the test should work. Yes, you see, both tests are now working, so that's perfect. So we are creating another test for actually I will use the hash to have the same hash consistently. I mean, because otherwise it could be another hash here. How I will do that? I will actually do actual. I will store it in a variable. I think it will be cleaner. So it's not because it's your test file that it has to be messy. It's also very important to know and to write nice tests, to have your test class has to be as clean as the normal class, because tests are so important. So if your functions where you write tests are not clean, are not really readable, you will end up writing bad tests, and that will be really bad in the long term for your application. So that's why you should also take care of how you can write beautiful tests. Actually, it's not a waste of time. Actually, it might seem, but after it's a habit, and if you write bad tests, like ugly tests, you might also write ugly normal on test functions, because you will have the same habit. If you it's easy, like here, if I don't use good practices when I write my tests, I might also not use good practices when I just write normal class and normal classes, normal functions, and so on. You see the point? So that's why it's also very important to write good tests. So here assert same, it will be, I forgot, expected, yes. So, and that will be the one we expect. And here, and so we'll have the hash here. I will just do probably like this, and here we do self like that, and I will reuse the same here. Like this, and so perfect, and that's what we expect. So for the second one, we do with options, and we are gonna try some functions actually. I mean some parameters. Sorry. So with options, and here it will be size will be a bit different. It will be 400. Rating will be also a bit different. If we have a look again here, what did we have? So for us now it will be R perhaps, or maybe you see R is like rating. That's why in my case I prefer to use rating long term, but they also accept rating here actually. PG maybe, yes, let's use PG. It's like, you know, when you buy a video game, you have PG. So size 400 PG, and then the display will be the display. Let's try something else. So the display, maybe we'll use retro. Why not? Let's use that one. And obviously this one should then be, the size should be 400. It will be PG, and the display will be retro. You might also wonder why actually in the image class, why we rewrite the parameters and why we don't just call the options here if we can also have the long name like size, rating, and display, because as you can see they always mention that you can also use the parameter. So they mention you can use S or size, and the same for everything actually, D or display normally, yes, and R or rating. However, we don't, because it makes the URL shorter. If we just have, you know, if the parameters is just F for force, R for rating, the URL will be shorter. So that's why we prefer in our class to have the long names, but when we generate the URL, we'll use the small, the short version, the shortened version actually. So yes, here it will be our URL, and let's test it. So what we can do also, I think we have, I think it's target, I'm not sure, target, and then the name of the class. Oh no, it's not. So I will just use help, because if we just want to test one unit test, we have an option, which one it is? Stop. Let's check it. Oh, it's filter. So here I will have filter like this, and yes, amazing, it works. And if I change PG to you know, you had different one, so to R or to G or to X for instance, you will see the test will fail. You see, indeed, that for the same here. So that's really good. We can also use the same hash here. So I will store this URL in a new variable. So let's it. That's the one. Here, test email hash. It will be like this. Beautiful. Self. Perfect. Expected. Okay, now we can test it again. Beautiful. So what else we can test? There are so many other things we might be able to test. Now we don't have to test everything. It's not the point. I think we already test everything, but maybe we don't have every parameter. I think actually we do, and that's for yeah, for the size. Yes, we probably do then. So yeah, that's it for our class, for our package. So we can commit it now. So we just initiate git to git init because I don't have git. So if I do git status, you will see I don't have it. So we do a git init to initiate to initialize git. So now git is initialized. So if I do a git status, I see all the files that are not committed. And thanks to my git ignore file, I ignore what I don't want. So if I remove everything here, you will see I will have vendor, I will have .idea. .idea is the config file of PHP Storm, you see. Idea, PHP Unit result.cache as well, vendor, and we don't want to commit those files. So that's why it's important to have git ignore file, .git ignore. So let's do again git status. I will commit first the source folder. I will do like add yeah, you know, it depends of your commit message. It's nice to be precise, but you don't really have to, especially for the first commit. So add Gravatar image generator. Yeah, just like this. For you, you can even commit everything, but for me, I will commit folders to folders. And here I will do add unit test. I like to have this at smiley or stuff like that. In GitHub, they convert colon smiley colon to the real smiley actually. And then we'll just do git add attribute, and that one is actually to ignore the files we don't want, the dev files we don't want in our distribution zip, I mean the distribution file. So if you go to git attributes, you see we have here actually, we mentioned that we ignore export these files. So it's nice actually to have this. When we mention, you know, in Git attributes, it can be used for something else, for other things, but the main usage is to ignore files we don't want to have them to be included in the distribution package. So when you install this library, when you will install the Gravatar library, you don't want to have the unit test included, because you know what's the point? Because you won't test the package because it has been tested already. You just want to use the package you install with Composer. So that's why you mention these files you want to ignore. And then we do here we just add also git ignore. I just explained the usage for that one. Ignore files we don't, you see, we don't want to commit, we don't want to be committed. Perfect. And what else? And yeah, obviously last but not least, first the PHP unit file. So here PHP unit config file. Beautiful. And now you have one left is the composer, and we can commit as well that one. Commit composer.json. Beautiful. And I will also do a smiley. I like smiley actually. So yeah, that's it. And in the next video, we will learn how to create a repository on GitHub and how to commit, how to push all the files we just committed to GitHub. So here I already did it, but I just want to show it to you. And now you can create a new repository to GitHub. So you go to your GitHub account, you go here, new repository. You will have to mention a name of the repo. So for me it will be Gravatar, like my Gravatar, for instance. And here it will be a description like an easy way to generate images from Gravatar emails, for instance. And I can create the repository, and here you can just use the git remote, and I will add it here. So I will just do, actually I have to remove because I already have one, git remote. So I can add it here, and then you can just push it. So git push u tag origin master, and you push it, and normally it should be there. So let's see. You see, it's there. After I can still create a Readme file, that will be nice. And you can also change the description. And in the next session, we'll see how we can publish it on Packagist. That will be really nice to publish our Gravatar package to Packagist. So now we will create a Readme file. It's nice to have a Readme file when you publish your package to Packagist, so you really explain a little bit what's your package about. So for me, I will mention the name of my package, Gravatar, an easy way to use the simplest Gravatar PHP package. Perfect. And that can be actually a heading, so a smaller heading, and then I will do like how to install it, and here we'll just display how we can install it, and actually with Composer. So it will be something like Composer require, and for me to be something like this, and then it will be like PHP Gravatar with Composer. The requirement, we can also mention the requirements we need. So for us, it will be PHP 7.1 or higher, and author. So you can also, mention about you. I'm Pierre Henry, a passionate developer, for instance, and then you can do like license, for instance. So let's do license and PHP Gravatar is distributed under Meet license. So we do just like this. On Mac, actually, if you do Command, Control, and Space, you can have emojis. I don't know for Windows, but for Mac, this is the way. And just to enjoy. Okay, so that's our Readme. So now I will do git add Readme. Oops, I don't have any space. And I do add Readme file. Perfect. I push it. Beautiful. So now we can go back here, and that's the settings of our library. I go to packages. I have already my account. I'm already logged in. So I do submit. Here I just take the URL HTTPS of here. I paste it here. Repository URL. It checks. And let's see how it goes. Oh yes, sorry. On that's why it doesn't find it. It's because on the composer.json file, the name is different, and I think PHP the package name font. Oh no, sorry, no, my bad. I thought it was an error, but no, actually everything is found. So yes, that's my package actually, and you can just install this way. So if I open a terminal window, if I just I will create a project just now for to test it. mkdir test Gravatar. I go inside test Gravatar, and I will just install it. Composer require. Oops, I just have an issue because couldn't find the version of PHP name of the minimum stability. Oh yes, it's because I didn't create actually a stable version. So we'll just do it right now, because by default it's alpha version, beta version, if like dev version, if we don't create a release. So we'll just create a release now, and here I will just do like the version will be v1.0.0, and I will create the tag. I have already from previous packages. I have already, you can see I already did some of similar releases. I can also include the date. I think it's quite handy to include the date. So for us is October 24th, 2021, and yes, we can publish it. And now if we update the package, it will have the v1. Normally it should, yes, it has the newer version, so now it should work, and it does, which is beautiful. So now what we can do is just we can create a PHP file and just just trying to test our library. Like I will just create a PHP file inside, so it will be, and it will be like this. Obviously you need Composer, so we will include with the vendor. I will actually take here, if I do Composer Autoload, I will have it where is it? Should be I will use Google. It might be easier to find it. It's really easy. It should be like, actually it should be like dir directory and vendor autoload.php, and here I will save it. It will be test.php. I will just have a look. Vendor, that's correct. Here I need a slash because it doesn't use a slash by default. And auto, yeah, so that's correct. So if you look actually on the internet, you will find the same. You see, it's the same. And now we can use actually our class. So we just import the namespace. The namespace, if you remember, it was ph7, ph2 Gravatar, and then it's Gravatar. And then we just use here we just use Gravatar get, and then it will be your email address. So like for me it's hi.ph7.me, and this function will actually return, if I do an echo, it will return the URL, so the link. So if you have an image, for instance, it will be like let's say it's an HTML page, so it will be like img source, and here I will have PHP, and I will do echo like this, and then I will close the tag. That will be the image of Gravatar, and then I will be like add my Gravatar image, and then I will close the tag. It will work this way, you see. So now we will create a Readme file. It's nice to have a Readme file when you publish your package to Packagist, so you really explain a little bit what's your package about. So for me, I will mention the name of my package, Gravatar, an easy way to use the simplest Gravatar PHP package. Perfect. And that can be actually a heading, so a smaller heading, and then I will do like how to install it, and here we'll just display how we can install it, and actually with Composer, so it will be something like Composer require, and for me to be something like this, and then it will be like ph2 Gravatar with Composer. The requirement, we can also mention the requirements we need. So for us it will be PHP 7.1 or higher, and author, so you can also mention about you. I'm Pierre-Henry, a passionate developer, for instance, and then you can do like license, for instance. So let's do license, and ph2 Gravatar is distributed under MIT license. So we do just like this. On Mac, actually, if you do Command, Control, and Space, you can have emojis. I don't know for Windows, but for Mac, this is the way. And just to enjoy. Okay, so that's our Readme. So now I will do git add Readme. oops, I don't have any space, and I do add Readme file. Perfect. I push it. Beautiful. So now we can go back here, and that's the settings of our library. I go to packages. I have already my account. I'm already logged in. So I do submit. Here I just take the URL HTTPS of here. I paste it here. You know, repository URL. It checks, and let's see how it goes. Oh yes, sorry, on that's why it doesn't find it. It's because on the composer.json file the name is different, and I think PHP the package name font. Oh no, sorry, no, my bad. I thought it was an error, but no, actually everything is found. So yes, that's my package actually, and you can just install this way. So if I open a terminal window, if I just do, I will create a project just now for, you know, to test it. mkdir test Gravatar. I go inside test Gravatar, and I will just install it. Composer require. Oops, I just have an issue because couldn't find the version of PHP name of the minimum stability. Oh yes, it's because I didn't create actually a stable version. So we'll just do it right now, because by default it's alpha version, I mean beta version, if like dev version, if we don't create a release. So we'll just create a release now, and here I will just do like the version will be v1.0.0, and I will create the tag. Or I have already from previous packages. I have already, you can see I already did some of similar releases. I can also include the date. I think it's quite handy to include the date. So for us is October 24th, 2021, and yes, we can publish it. And now if we update the package, it will have the v1. Normally it should, yes, it has the newer version, so now it should work, and it does, which is beautiful. So now what we can do is just we can create a PHP file and just, you know, just trying to test our library, you know, like I will just create a PHP file inside, so it will be, and it will be like this. Obviously you need Composer, so we will include with the vendor. I will actually take here, if I do Composer Autoload, I will have it where is it? Should be I will use Google. It might be easier to find it. It's really easy. It should be like, actually it should be like directory and vendor autoload.php, and here I will save it. It will be test.php. I will just have a look. Vendor, that's correct. Here I need a slash because it doesn't use a slash by default, and autoload. Autoload.php. Here I need a slash because it doesn't use a slash by default, and autoload.php. Here I need a slash because it doesn't use a slash by default, and autoload.php. Here I need a slash because it doesn't use a slash by default, and autoload.php. Here I need a slash because it doesn't use a slash by default, and Yeah, so that's correct. So if you look actually on the internet, you will find the same. You see, it's the same. And now we can use actually our class. So we just import the namespace. The namespace, if you remember, it was ph7, ph2 Gravatar, and then it's Gravatar. And then we just use here we just use Gravatar get, and then it will be your email address. So like for me it's hi.ph7.me, and this function will actually return, if I do an echo, it will return the URL, so the link. So if you have an image, for instance, it will be like let's say it's an HTML page, so it will be like emg source, and here I will have PHP, and I will do echo like this, and then I will close the tag. That will be the image of Gravatar, and then I will be like add my Gravatar image, and then I will close the tag. It will work this way, you see.